Patriot Act, especially the way it's being applied, is broken. There are many ways to change the laws, but we also need a better intelligence committee process. And one of the things they do now, for example, is if we want to read a classified secret court opinion, we can't get it. So think about it this way. Congress writes the Patriot Act. We write the word, and I wasn't there when they wrote it. I didn't vote for authorization, to be clear. But Congress writes the Patriot Act. They write the word relevant into the Patriot Act. And then a secret court, an unaccountable secret court, says, okay, we're going to interpret relevant in a way that is totally alien to Congress, that is not at all what they intended. And then Congress can't find out that that's how we're interpreting it. They're not allowed to. The chairman of the Intelligence Committee in the House and Senate can find out about it. You might have other Intelligence Committee members find out about it. But if they want to keep other members of Congress in the dark, they can do so. And that is really dangerous. Because every member of Congress, every House member represents 700,000 people. And it's my duty to have that information so I can properly represent my constituents. It's not acceptable for one committee to control the whole process or one person to control the whole process. They act like the Intelligence Committee is one of the branches of government. And it's not. We have a whole Congress that has to have oversight and has to deal with our laws. It's not just one committee. Go ahead.
Megan Lopez, RTTV. Senator Wyden earlier today talked about possible extra whistleblower protections. I was wondering if you could comment on Edward Snowden and also some type of whistleblower protections that you're looking for.
Well, I would say, as a general matter, and I didn't hear all of Senator Wyden's comments, but I would say as a general matter, there are not proper channels for people to come to Congress and blow the whistle. Basically, if you believe that something is going on that is unconstitutional, for example, if you're an NSA employee or contractor, you think something is going on that is breaking the law, you can go to your supervisors, you can find a way to go to the Intelligence Committee, but as I said, that doesn't really provide you any relief. The Intelligence Committee is working with your supervisors, working with your executive branch, all trying to hide stuff from Congress and American people. So why would they help you out? You need a way for a whistleblower to be able to go to people who are not part of the system that's actually trying to keep things from everyone. Yes?
So it seems to me a lot of this can be solved by having technical people with appropriate clearances on your staff. What are the chances of getting advisors that work for Congress and have enough clearance to read all the documents, not just the things that are handed piecemeal?
It is possible. You can have, they have to go through a background process, and it can take, I think, more than a year to have it happen. So in the case of this, it's not that easy to just suddenly have members of your staff who will go through that. But also you have to remember that in Congress, staff very often, and maybe the public is not generally aware of this, staff don't stay around that long. In some offices, staff will stay around for a while, but in many offices, staff are coming and going. You might have a staff person for a year, and you move to another office, or you move to another job, and in D.C. that's pretty typical. So it's a lot of investment for someone to say, hey, I'm going to go through this whole process and get the clearance, and then I don't know if I'll ever need to use it. So it just doesn't happen that often. And I don't know the extent, for example, I think on the Intelligence Committee that the staff that are allowed in the room are only Intelligence Committee staff. I don't think even Intelligence Committee members can bring their own staff. Even the members of the Intelligence Committee. Intelligence Committee staff are assigned to the member by the committee. They're not staff of the member. Yeah, so there's again a co-opting of your own staff. Yeah.
stops you after press conference or meeting, or meetings, says, Congressman, what do you do? Whistleblower, I'm trying to sell this stuff.
Under current law, I can't do anything for someone like that. This is, I've seen this myth, spread throughout the media that whistleblowers, like an NSA whistleblower, can come to a member of Congress. That's not true. If a whistleblower came to me and told me the stuff that they might tell media or anyone else, they'd be in violation of the law, and it probably cause me some trouble too. So there's no protection right now, really, for people who want to blow the whistle. Yeah.
Thank you. Andrew Hopkins, George Mason, Students for Liberty. So I wanted to ask, Judge Egan, in her FISA court order of August, she analogized the Secure Communications Act to Section 215. She commented that there was a specific and articulable fact requirement in the Stored Communications Act, and there was also a relevant and material language in the Stored Communications Act. This is for seeking non-content related records for criminal investigation. Since that language was not present in Section 215, Judge Egan said, therefore it's a lower standard that has to be met for these kinds of requests for order production. Would you comment on that?
Well, the one comment I would give is that as we are working on reforms to Section 215, whether through the Liberty Act that Rep. Conyers and I worked on, or Senate Veterans Bill that I'm also a part of, we are looking to make sure that the standard is as strong and clear as possible. Let's take one more.
Hello, Libertarian Party. Thank you also for everything you've done. What forms or types of public pressure do you think would be most likely to result in change, in meaningful reform or even repeal of some of these laws?
I think phone calls. People may find this strange, but phone calls are very effective. They're much more effective than the public generally understands them to be. I would not suggest emails. I would not suggest some of the other forms of protest, but make a lot of phone calls. I mean, you're welcome to protest any way you want, but make a lot of phone calls. When you look at issues like Syria, they were set to go to war. It was a done deal. They were going to war. What turned around was not people like Justin Amash saying, "Oh, this is a bad idea." It was that the public got engaged. The public really started going out of their way, saying, "We don't want this." They made phone calls to their members' offices. I'll tell you that when I'm on the House floor and we're talking about an issue, and maybe I'm trying to persuade my colleagues to vote in a certain way, and say, "Look, this is the right vote on this bill," they'll very often talk about how many phone calls they've received in their office on that issue. How are the phone calls going? Oh, well, we haven't gotten many phone calls on this one. Oh, on this other issue, the phone calls are going 100 to 1 against. Or in Syria, for example, how many, you saw all these representatives and senators, they were touting on Twitter and elsewhere. Our phone calls are coming in, 500 to 1 against the Syria war. They knew how to vote when that was coming in like that. There are not many members of Congress who see phone calls coming in 100 to 1 against something, or 500 to 1 against, or 4 or whatever, who don't realize that they better pay some attention to what's going on back home. So I think it's really important. I think it's critically important on issues like this, where it's surveillance. Surveillance is something that certainly affects everyone in the country in a very serious way. Wars obviously affect everyone in a very serious way. On these kind of issues especially, you can make a lot of headway by making phone calls. So I want to thank everyone for having me.